Do you ever find yourself opening Instagram and seeing the latest important drop from Andrew Huberman, some incredible meditation from Jay Shetty, or counting down from 5 based on Mel Robbins? But what if all these wellness influencers / gurus / teachers are taking you for a ride that is actually prioritizing their profits over your healing? Picking the wrong wellness guide or listening to a person who is actually wasting your time can not only waste months of effort, drain your bank account, and leave your nervous system fried, for starters, but it can have a real detrimental effect on your overall health and how your life goes if you constantly bounce from person to person to person. Unfortunately, the world now has more people than ever who have somehow captured our undeserved attention. We need to learn to tell them apart before they lead us further into their cult-like fold. Fortunately, you are in the right place. Scott Carney joins us today on the We Are Already Free podcast to help us understand, as he calls it, the griftoverse, informing us with simple red flags to look out for so we can tell solid advice from slick salesmanship. And he shares how we can find people and information worth betting our well-being on. Scott Carney is a New York Times bestselling investigative journalist and author of many books, as well as an award winner for ethical reporting, and he is supported by a growing community of patrons on Patreon and Substack. He's currently dosing us with the medicine we didn't know we needed by exposing wellness gurus to his hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers. Listen on to learn what red flags to watch for when it comes to wellness gurus, influencers, and online health advice, how scammers and grifters use a mix of truth and lies to build trust, and how you can protect yourself. Why authenticity and integrity are so hard to maintain in today's online business world, and what that really costs, what it actually takes to make a living as a creator without selling out, and why enough might be the new dream, how supporting independent creators like on Patreon can change the game for everyone, and why your choices matter more than you think. And finally, why hope, connection, and personal values might be the most powerful tools we have, even in a world that feels rigged. Welcome back to the We Are Already Free podcast. My name is Nathan Maingard, and I'm just doing the best I can to bring through the message of hope, love, and authenticity that I believe we are all here to embody and to live within to the best of our abilities. When you hear the words, "we are already free," what comes up for you?
Acceptance.
Change.
A shift in awareness.
Human beings are so powerful.
There's so much more.
Everything is love behind it.
Breaking the chains of your own mind.
That which remains.
Nature.
Getting out of the matrix.
We're sitting on the treasure and it's already unlocked.
We are already free.
You're free.
You are a walking map.
Have always been free.
You are always free, already free.
We are already free.
If you've followed me for any amount of time, you'll know that I have been moving through different stages of working out how to build a sustainable, reliable income for myself, initially as a musician for 10 plus years, which led to burnout and depression, but that's not what led to it, but it's what ended up happening. And I had a very successful Patreon page that I ended up closing for some years. And I've since moved into more transformational coaching and guidance and facilitation, which I love and I'm getting so much out of. I love my clients. If you're listening, you're amazing. And I get so much out of it. And I'm also realizing that, especially after this conversation, it really hit so many important nerves for me that I want to find a better way. I want to do this in a different and better way. I want to be able to support the people who come to me and say, I really need your support. I would love to work with you, but I simply cannot afford it. I would love to be able to say, don't worry, there's a scholarship, there's a fund, I can help you out because other people are funding that. All of that to say, in brief, I am relaunching my Patreon page as of right now. You can click the link in the show notes or go to alreadyfree.me/Patreon, Patreon. And you can check out, I've got a special offer running right now. I'm playing my first live show in a long time in Cape Town. You can get exclusive access to the live streamed video of that, that's coming up on the 16th of August. So get into Patreon, support this work. If this podcast has ever supported you in any way, if my work has ever been of value to you, my songs, my poems, my sharings, this is your invitation. Make you the customer of my work instead of, as we discussed in this episode, you being the product that I'm trying to sell to the highest bidder, which Anyway, listen to the episode. I'll talk more about this at the end. Thank you for being here, and let's get on with this episode with the amazing Scott Carney. It's nice to see you again, and thank you for being up for it, dude. It's been entertaining and illuminating to watch your meteoric YouTube rise since our last podcast chat, and also just to see the shift in direction, because I feel like when I first chatted with you, it was partly because of what you were starting to share around Wim Hof, and maybe we will actually just start the episode here because this feels kind of pertinent. But it was really this thing around realizing that this man who was seen as like a wellness guru, basically, like he had the answers to the universe and to what it takes to be a healthy human, and so many people around the world put complete faith in that, and then these other things started to surface. And since then, it seems like you've kind of doubled down on that in a way. And so I'm just curious to hear, like, what happened for you? You know, what got you skin in the game around wanting to talk more about these wellness influences and so-called gurus. And I know gurus has always been your thing, but like there's a very specific niche right now around the wellness crew.
Yeah, it's interesting. So one of my books, my second book, was called The Enlightenment Trap, and it was about how people who search for spiritual powers can sometimes go insane. In fact, mostly they go insane. And then I met Wim Hof, and I was going to debunk him as a charlatan. That was the thing. But I tried his method, and I found that I could do really cool things by exposing myself to cold and breath work. And sort of the journey I took with my second book, which was What Doesn't Kill Us, was where is the beauty in some of this charlatan chicanery, in a way, right? Where it's like, oh, it's not all bullshit. It's not like all terrible, awful, gurus taking advantage of you. There's actually some benefits you can get. And I found those benefits, and they were amazing. And then by doing that, I also platformed a guy who had the capability to become a really bad wellness creature in the world, like one of these over powerful gurus. And this interacts with the sort of the social media environment that we're in, the way finances work on social media. And it's not like I put the book out and I gave him sort of carte blanche to do whatever he wanted for the rest of his life, to be the grifteriest person and to kill as many people as he wanted. No, I mean, as a journalist, I have to be like, well, what's really going on? And so my job has always been to say what's really going on, whether or not it's convenient to me. It just so happens that it's very inconvenient for me to talk about how, that book was a huge mega bestseller. I sold 300,000 copies. I made a career as the ice bath guy because I thought ice baths were cool. And going out and saying, actually, this guru who I was part of his rise, I wasn't the only reason he rose, but I was a part of his rise. Going out and saying, though, actually, we have to step back, has been difficult on a professional level, on a personal level, on an investigatory level, because I was the only person really looking into it. And then it took me about 2 years to sort of get to the point where I was really going to get rolling. And I said, well, let's just go after everyone again, because that was where I started. I started talking about fake gurus in my second book, and now I'm on a roll. I like it's not just Wim. Wim is just one small little pixel in the giant high definition screen of online wellness grift. And I just have to take it one grifter at a time, because I did the math on this. If I do one grifter a week, which is actually too fast for me, then I will be able to do videos until the year 3042, and then.
And oh man, and so let's just define grifters for our listener at this moment. It's like, so we're on the same page of what we're talking about. What is a wellness grifter? What are we talking about?
It's somebody who promotes a mixture of truth and lies in order to personally profit themselves. It's important to note that all the best scams in the world have usually a nugget of fundamental truth, where the mainstream society doesn't want to look at this one question, and then they capitalize on that question, and then they inflate its value by oftentimes setting themselves in scientific language, you can meditate your way to influence the quantum field, to use the quantum field to become a better, more rich, whatever person, right? Boom. That's like a wellness grift because they use the.
Wait, I can't do that?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, there certainly isn't hard quantifiable science behind such a thing. So they use this language of science to say that, well, I can do thing that is not scientifically based. And they run like shitty studies usually. Usually they'll hire a scientist or maybe it's a scientist who's a true believer. And they put out a research paper that to the lay audience looks interesting. But anyone who has like even the modicum of scientific understanding, and you don't have to be a scientist, you just have to have like a little bit of critical thinking. You'd be like, wait, this doesn't quite hold together. And then usually they'll do the science, and then they'll just even inflate what the science says. Like the science will be like, if you do this meditation, and you take your normal, vaccine shots, COVID might delay itself a little bit better. Like it's like a really minor, like very specific type thing. And then they'll be like, and we proved in the lab that we cured tuberculosis. And you're like, it's not. What are you talking about? And I basically these two things that I'm saying, I'm just paraphrasing Joe Dispenza, who is like this, meditation quantum healer. I'm sort of making fun of him to myself, to you, as I say this, but like this effect is seen all over the place. And the other type of grifters we get are the scientists, the people who are like, I'm a medical doctor and or a neuroscientist and or a PhD psychiatrist or whatever, and then I use my scientific authority to completely misstate what the literature says and then give you protocols or supplement lines or whatever to personally enrich myself. And online, it all comes down to the online business models that we all share. You, Nathan, and I, Scott, make money on YouTube ads. I don't sell affiliate products. I don't know if you do, but like we have this world where you can only make some money so many ways. We live in a capitalist system. And then these people usually game that system. And as they do that, they become more and more likely to lie more and more exaggerated ways in order to put you into their click funnels, to put you into their marketing machine for whatever marketing objective they have. And then we live in the information desert landscape that we have on social media, where large type font and high production values and good marketing reach are more important than results that are reliable.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. I mean, God, there's so many directions I want to go in. What are some of the names? Because you mentioned Joe Dispenza. So what are some of the names off the top of your head that may surprise our listener, that they go, oh, I know that makes sense what he's talking about. But like when they hear these names, they go, what?
So the people I've done videos on, let's talk about my YouTube channel, which is Scott Carney Investigates. Let's see. I've got Andrew Huberman. I've got Peter Attia. So Huberman's a neuroscientist. Attia's a medical doctor that turned consultant, turned medical doctor. Then we have David Sinclair, longevity scientist. These are sort of the more respectable versions. But we also have Joe Dispenza, Mark Hyman. Mark Hyman is the guy, the sort of the progenitor in a way of functional medicine. He's actually the second creator of functional medicine. I'm looking at Mel Robbins, Jay Shetty. I mean, there's I don't have the list in front of me, but I've spent a lot of time going after like a wide variety of grifters. I mean, Russell Brand is there, even Joe Rogan. I mean, even though he's not he doesn't present himself as a wellness guy, he certainly gives a lot of medical advice, about what supplements to take, whatnot. And they're all sort of a piece. And I think maybe to some degree, what it takes to become famous on YouTube, and famous and rich and, on Instagram and whatever, it takes a certain set of personality traits to really dig in and to be like, I'm going to do the things that I need to really maximize this. And once they take off all of those stops, and usually it's like morality, ability, they have to be okay with lying. They have to be able to okay with other people lying. I think that there's this like thing where someone comes on your show and they give you this totally bananas thing that they say, I can meditate my way into quantum states, right? And see blue aliens if I want to. And if you're the host, you have to be like, yeah, that's amazing. Like you have to play this game, this comedian game. Yes. And whatever they say, I agree. And then I'm going to add my own bullshit on top of it. And that's a game that all of these influencers are sort of playing with each other as they go on each other's shows. And that serves them to like cross-pollinate audiences. And if you have someone on your show and instead you say, you're fucking crazy, man. Like this is bullshit. No, this is what the science says. You stop that game and you stop the ability to sort of accrue a giant audience. So that's like another effect that's going on here, because it's good. It's polite to be nice to your guests. And you don't want to undercut people. And you also can't real-time fact check people. So you're sort of behind the eight ball in a lot of things here. And then, when you put out your podcast, you also want them to promote it, right? I go on Nathan's podcast and you had Joe Rogan on your podcast. You want Joe Rogan to tweet about your appearance, right? Why wouldn't you? Because it helps you make you more famous. But this social contract that we're in inevitably leads to the situation we're in now, where as the viewer, the consumer of this content, you end up in a wasteland of bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, you're speaking directly to, I think part of the reason I'm having you on right now, again, is because I feel trapped in this world in a way. Because I mean, I heard your piece around Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty, and that really inspired me to reach back out, because I had heard about Mel Robbins stealing Let Them from an innocent poet who just happened not to be famous enough to be able to be like, hey, that was my idea. And you clearly like basically just copy pasted it into a book and called it your own. All that being said, I think when I'm hearing you speak to this, I am a transformational guide and coach, and I'm still working for ways to talk about this because it all feels so cringy and awkward to me. But for whatever reason, like, I was a professional singer-songwriter for 10 years. Yeah. I've always been called into a space of supporting, like, I've always gone beyond the surface level. I struggle with small talk. I've always wanted to go deeper, and people have always felt safe enough to explore more parts of themselves with me, to the point that I've done like some counseling training, and I've done some proper coaching certification that I've put some serious study into, and even a breathwork course. And like, I'm that guy doing those things. And in absolute candor, I'm currently really needing to generate a more consistent income flow for myself. Like, and I have a young daughter, and there's like all these things going on and I don't want to fucking sell out. I don't want to do it in a way that feels like I'm just getting people on board like you said it so well, the little click funnel, but that's how business works. That's how marketing works. And so I'm in a really weird and awkward position right now of not knowing how to do it actually authentically, and also really wanting to help people, but needing to be almost a bit more cutthroat and be like, I believe in my product and I believe in my offer, and therefore I'm going to get people into the funnel and sell them on the product, and like that whole thing. Yeah. And I'm wrestling with it, dude. So yeah, that's where you find
So how do you get through it, right? Well, one, the system is rigged. Okay, so you're living in a rigged system, which is working against the idea of authenticity. The system promotes inauthenticity and lying. And you're trying to be like, well, how do I not lie and win in the system? Okay, well, it ain't going to happen, my friend. Nathan, you are going to be poor the rest of your life, or you're going to sell out, right? Like, there are two paths in front of you. And how you manage it, I don't know. I mean, let me talk about me, because I can't say everything about what you do, but I have a YouTube channel. I have like 130,000 followers, which is a minor following, right? It's I'm there. I have the trophy thing over here that says I'm a real YouTuber or whatever, but it's like still pretty small potatoes. To make money on YouTube, I have to get 1 million views gets me between $4,000 and $6,000. Like, that's what 1 million views for a YouTube video, like the video that you guys are watching, that's roughly what it brings in an income. To get 1 million views is hard. Like, it's not easy to get I don't just pop one out and I get 1 million. I think I've had like 2 videos hit 1 million, like really rare. So then it's sort of the aggregate cost across the channel. That brings my yearly income on YouTube to about, I forget what it was. It's like, I've released these stats. I've done like, here's how I made money on YouTube, but it's like 25 or 30,000 bucks a year doing that full time, which is not what you would make as a journalist, because I'm an investigator like normally, right? And then on top of that, I have a Substack where I charge people like $8 a month to come in. And I feel like that's authentic, because this is the stuff that I do, and I can say authentically that this is what I can earn doing this. And I have to sort of be okay with saying enough is enough. Like, I have to be like, look, I'm not going to be a millionaire. I don't even want to be a millionaire. That's not my goal. My goal is to do the things that I want to earn enough money to survive. And I am under the line where I want to be financially, but I refuse to do the bullshit to increase it. And the only thing I can say is over time, maybe I'll get to that point. But it's been 2 years where I've been doing this pretty regularly at a level which I feel like has been pretty decent overall. And I'm still dealing with bullshit because I have to play with thumbnails and titles, and I'm playing the algorithm game. Like, there's all this bullshit that's even though I'm remaining authentic, there's still bullshit that I have to deal with. And I am able to survive because I've also written 5 or 6 books and done other podcasts, and I sometimes get movie deals and sometimes get speaking engagements, and I piece it together from a lot of things. And it's hard, and it doesn't make a ton of money. Now, but if I wanted to go full grifty, I'd be like, this thing that I do, buy this e-course, buy this supplement line, buy this stuff, and there's a whole pathway that exists for that will increase revenues. So how do you be a capitalist in the Instagram world and not sell out? You have to, something has to give. And for me, it's like, I don't give up on my ethics. I'm going to give up on money. Not everyone has that freaking opportunity. Maybe get out of the Instagram, maybe get out of this game, because this game is rigged against you. And you should have one-on-one coaching with people where you're like, look, I'm an authentic person, and it's going to be, an hourly rate that's whatever is reasonable. And you could become like a therapist, like essentially like a therapist thing, although you're not licensed, but whatever, like life coach is a thing, and life coaches can be super grifty. But if you keep it small and you keep it in a way that is reasonable, then hopefully you can shine. But yeah, you're gonna find out what works, and then you're gonna be promoted to pursuing cash. And how do you resist getting cash? I don't know. It's a real quandary here, Nathan, and I do not have a solution for you, because the game is rigged.
Yeah. I just appreciate the candor you're speaking to. And it's interesting because I was actually at one point a successful Patreon funded musician. That when I was playing music for 10 years, I launched on Patreon in the early days. And at one point I was making between $1,500 and $2,000 a month just from Patreon, which for me was like,
huge.
I mean, as a musician, to just get paid to make music, unfortunately, I didn't maintain it. I burnt out. I had a whole dark night of the soul. It's a whole other story. But in hindsight, I'm like, dang, I really did have the dream, because all my people wanted from me was me. They just wanted me to keep making music, keep telling my stories, keep being who I am. And I think that's actually like the gold standard. And that's what I see you modeling as well, and moving more towards. So I also just want to honor like any person who is supporting you financially, if they're listening to this, or anyone who supports artists or journalists or those who are independently choosing authenticity. Like, if you put your money where their creations are, you're an amazing human. Thank you so much. Really, really. And so, yeah, I also appreciate you speaking to that there has to be compromise somewhere. This capitalist system is extractive by nature. It's I don't see a way around that. Like, all these devices I'm using, where was the cobalt mined for my batteries? Like it was, it's not a good thing to think about. It's not a good feeling. And so at the same time, there is this question around how to show up for it as authentically as possible while acknowledging the greater story that we live inside of. So again, not without any answers, I just appreciate hearing your reflection. And I also want to state at this point that I'm a lot further in the direction of woo than you are. Like, I watched your video about where you put different wellness influencers on
I ranked
like
them.
that you ranked them, and quite a few of them you ranked either dangerous or concerning or whatever it was. I was like, oh, I really like that person. so like I'm definitely more. I thought Carnivore MD was an interesting one, because he's actually not. You said he was He's
Is that
the Paul
Saladino?
Saladino.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's a
Because
fucking grifter, dude. Oh my
well, it's
god! Wait.
interesting because you said you didn't know that much about him, and you called him a carnivore, but he's not actually a carnivore. He's what's called animal based, so it's like fruit,
Yeah,
meat, and
yeah.
I think that and
I don't
dairy.
know, but
Like that's his
now
vibe.
that he's doing interviews with RFK, and he's
Oh
having
wow!
RFK on his show, then it's like, well, I think you just showed who your true colors are. Because when I did that video, he hadn't yet, and I hadn't really dug into him. I've dug into a little bit more, and he's not even. Yeah, he's not carnivore. He was carnivore. Now he's not carnivore. He's switched around. But like, that's the thing. These people create fads, and they say, "Here's the answer. I have the answer, and it's simple: eat only meat." Drink only your urine, like whatever the fuck they come up with, and 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 then they say, and life isn't so simple, right? I'm sure there's some science around how eating only meat will do something for you, but then they really overstate it, and then they get you on their program, and then you do that stuff, and then you get like liver damage or whatever the effect
Right.
is of this stuff,
Well,
and.
so oh man, but I want to push back just a little bit here because this is what's interesting to me is like if I look at the standard American, like using America as an example because it seems like a model for how a lot of the rest of the world, at least how the West follows along. I don't see like if people were to follow, you used I think Sanjay Gupta as an example of like this a safe person to follow, like the
Yeah.
BBC.
Yeah, because he's he's like a milk toast doctor. Yeah.
Right. So, which is all good. And like, but the thing is that when I look at America as a whole, I don't see a healthy population. I don't see people who are being supported by their medical system in living vibrant, long, and not just long, but healthy into old age lives. And in fact, I see a massive decline that is increasing. And so when I do see someone like Paul Saladino, obviously he has his product, he has his thing that he's selling, and he looks like a relatively really healthy dude. He's in his like mid to late 40s. He's strong, he's fit, he's happy. He's helping people to eat more whole foods. And actually, he's one of the people who's like, if what you're doing makes you feel good, keep doing it. And that's the kind of thing. So I guess that's the piece.
Yes, but
like
Nathan, you're missing this huge piece. You're missing the most enormous piece of this whole thing that you just sort of glossed over, which is the secret to longevity and being healthy is being rich, man. Like like Paul Saladino is rich. He has access to the best healthcare, right? And then look at like America has terrible health outcomes. Our medical system is disgustingly terrible, right? Really expensive, and it is broken from the top, and it is owned by pharmaceutical companies and lobbyists and special interest and insurance companies, and all that is true. And we need to fix the freaking system by creating a socialized medicine paradigm that actually supports people instead of like promoting bullshit like get food dyes and seed oils out of your thing, which is the sort of the Saladino method. It's like we have to border off and say it's these small little things when the reality is the system is broken from a fundamental level. And if you want to be healthy, you have to create a better system, which means being revolutionary politics, voting for politicians who are smarter, like looking at the society as a whole and trying to fix the society, because our society is freaking ill. And I have written books about how terrible the pharmaceutical industry is, because book one was about the worst shit that the pharmaceutical industry has ever done, which is like promoted organ trafficking around the world. And I was like, I'm a world expert on organ trafficking because I followed the from the people who sell kidneys out to Pfizer. Like I'm the whole fucking vampiric system. Yes, it's terrible, but saying that the system is vampiric, right, and it's horrible, does not mean your wellness grifter is not also vampiric. The problem is that why can't you be an authentic person on YouTube? Why isn't your work supported? We have this issue where, huge issue, where if you do something that is self-fulfilling for yourself, that makes you feel good and makes the world a better place, capitalism devalues that and says, oh, you're a teacher? Oh, are you helping the future generations come together? Fuck you, you're doing that for yourself. The only person who deserves to get paid is the person who moves money around at top financial institutions, because that's real value. That is the sickness of society. Let's cite it in the correct place. Because if we misidentify and say, I feel so anxious, and it's because of it's the 18 macronutrients that I'm not getting in this person's program, then I'm missing the fact that I am being anally raped by that billionaire who's coming in and destroying me. So that is the real sickness. And yes, America is sick, and South Africa is sick, and all of the places are sick. And to fix it, we need to be actually political, actually get there and understand that if we want to fix the system, you have to address the system. You don't cite the problems in your body.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because I agree with almost everything you've said. Unfortunately, I don't currently have faith in political systems because of just how I agree that the whole society needs restructuring from the ground up. And this might be my cynicism or my fatalism. I actually had a previous guest on the podcast, Dougald Hines, who wrote a book called At Work in the Ruins. And he used to be an environmentalist and the whole thing. And he basically is like, it's too late. Like, we've gone past every marker, everything. He's like, at this point, the question we should be asking ourselves is, at the end of the world, what is still worth doing? And that was like a very confronting thing to hear from someone. But it has stayed with me, because when I look at the magnitude of what is required for these shifts to happen, I don't know if we got it in us. I lose. And so then the question is, what can I do in this moment, in this day, to experience more joy and well-being and support those around me who I have direct influence on in doing the same and having that same, and like the rest is beyond me. So maybe that's not a great outlook, but that's kind of where I come to.
No, but I think that's a legitimate and cohesive outlook, and I think it's true. We've messed up all of the things that could save the world, right? And then, so because we've messed up all the things that could save the world, the only option is to become incredibly selfish and then make the world worse. Like, that's sort of like where that logic goes, and which is not an unreasonable move to take, right? You can be like, look, we're all burning it down anyway, but fire is fun. Yeah, sure. Okay, we can do that. And it's not, I also share a very cynical view about climate change, right? Like, I also think the world is going to end because of climate change triggers human conflict. Again, yet another book I wrote about that, right? where it's about like how war and climate change all interact with another. Yes, I think that these are real issues. But if you want to live in a world with integrity, you have to realize that you're not just a self. You're also the people you directly interact with. So I agree with your guest about this. Like, yeah, help out the people around you. But we also need to be stewards of the broader society. And sometimes that will lead to weird conflicts of interest, right? I think that for instance, you live in South Africa. I don't know everything about your South African history, but there was a big thing with apartheid, right? And it wasn't always a peaceful exchange, right? It wasn't always like the best thing with getting rid of apartheid, but ultimately probably was a pretty good thing to do. And the violence and suffering of that probably helped the larger body politic. And a lot of people sacrificed to do that. That is an enigmatic problem, because no one likes violence, right? No one likes social strife. And yet sometimes the goal at the other end of it is better. And I think that at some point, if we really want to save this world, then there has to be sacrifice. There has to be something goes on. And I'm not saying you're going to be the leader of this, or I'm going to be the leader of this, or anything like that. But the system is so rigged against us on every level. In order to remain human, this is why I'm sacrificing income for humanity, right? For ethics and humanity. I sacrifice income, and I try to rouse and get people interested in like tackling bigger pictures. The thing that you're saying, which I also agree with, like, let's just be super selfish. Let's just go inside and like try to make ourselves better and our little world better and our little thing better. And yeah, you can do that, but you're doing it by the terms of that corrupt system. And I also do it, right? I also have a house. I also have a mortgage. I also play with banks. Like we're all sort of in this thing. And I just feel like, I don't know, what is my actual cohesive insight to life? is that it's not about dying comfortably in your bed at the end of the day. It's not about the income you make. It's not about it's about the love you have with the people, and actual love, not just saying you love people, but like actual love, actual care and responsibility, and doing the best you can with what you have, and in the limited time we have here. And we're not going to fix it, but it's a fight. And I think that a lot of people have the goal that you're going to outpace capitalism in one way or another. Like you're going to fully fund your you don't have 401ks. You're going to fully fund your retirement. You're going to fully fund your, you're going to get to a place where your wealth will protect you because you've accumulated enough wealth, and to accumulate enough wealth, you got to do some shitty things to get there. And then you'll be happy. And I don't think that, I think that there's a level of security that you might attain by it, but you're playing by the rules of this game. And you make all these compromises along the way. And how many compromises are you willing to make to be part of it? How much are you gonna be like, look, there's so much system out there that you can't fight it. Like I can't stop using Amazon because I sell my books on Amazon. So I don't know. I didn't answer anything. I tried to get a answer.
I think it's important that, like, this topic overall is an important one just to bring through, and this eternal interplay between selfish, like how do I take care of me and mine, and how do I show up in service to the whole. And I mean, we could go down the path then of talking about like decentralized systems, where the best thing that a decentralized system can do is take care of what's directly connected to it, and help that to become more regenerative and resilient and resourced, and that therefore then those will connect to others, and then that expands out. And there's this twofold piece. One is like zooming out and being like, I'm not going to have much impact on all this anyway. So like let go of the idea of fixing or saving anything. And then also, what can I do with the time and the resources that I do have right now today? And so I'd like to kind of bring it down and condense it into, because most of the people listening to this are middle-class people like me who are on Instagram following a lot of these people and trying to make good decisions for themselves and their families and their lives. So let's just start there and like let the rest take care of itself for now. But because this is what I'd like to ask you as an expert in this area is, how does someone spot a grifter? Like how does someone know that they are being taken advantage of by the people that they're trusting and giving their time, energy, and resources to?
This is great, because this actually is a fundamental thing, and I think it does address the larger issue too. Truth. Like, is someone a liar? Like, can you show that someone is lying? And I don't mean making a mistake. People make mistakes all the time, and you can make an error. And that's just a thing that happens, and then whatever. But a lie is a direct deception of someone in order to achieve an alternate goal. And what I do with a lot of these grifters is I run criminal background checks to look for evidence of fraud convictions. Okay, so that's wild. Okay. Then I'm like, oh, look, the guy founder of AG1 was convicted of fraud in New Zealand, and then he fled to America to found AG1. Like, okay, well, he's a liar, proven liar, convicted in court, and then he became a billionaire. Well, if we see people who have that kind of track record, why should you trust them? Right? Gary Brecka, another great example, spent 10 years as like a petty thief with tons of shoplifting convictions and drunk driving and all sorts of stuff like that. And then he became a great wellness grifter. Okay, just look at the reality, because a lot of people, this is the beauty of investigative journalism, a lot of people leave crazy paper trails. Okay. The other thing that you could look for is, does their opinions on their fundamental beliefs change when they get a sponsor? Huberman's a great example of this, right? He did, like, I don't really care about the blue light problem. Like, does a screen make you sleep better or not? It's not, who cares to some degree. On the other hand, he makes these statements being like, blue light doesn't really matter. And then he's like, then I got an opportunity to wear a nighttime sunglass called the Roka sunglass that blocks the blue light, and now I sleep better. Like, okay, you are clearly influenced. Your integrity is influenced by money, and that is an issue. Another type of lie that people will tell you, and this is how why you're interviewing me now is the Mel Robbins lie. And it's so infectious in the spiritual aligned communities of when you go to people and say, I love you. I love you and I've never met you. But I feel right now a vibe in my chest saying, I love you. Well, that's not what love is. Okay, love is responsibility. Like a parent raising a child isn't like, I just vibe with you, child. Cool, I'll see you later. I just really love you, and you let the child starve. No, that is not love. Love is also feeding the child, raising the child, taking responsibility for people, because that's what love is. Love is responsibility. It's caring. It's actually putting in the time and the effort. And like my wife often says, love is a zero-sum game to some degree, because you can only actually love so many people. You can vibe love as many people as you want. But when you say that, when you say to your audience, I love you, and if you're not taking responsibility for what that means, what you're really saying is, I love the attention you are giving me. I love the money that you are giving me, because you don't know them. You don't have a real relationship. So you are a liar. And that lie, and you can never trust a liar. And oftentimes they're lying to themselves too. And there's the double problem here, is that they believe what they are doing is love, but it's not. And we need to take a healthy dose of reality and just inhabit it and realize what the actual terms of engagement are in the world that we live in. Because otherwise you just get, once you fall for the fact that this person loves me, or we're all part of a family because we all listen to the same podcast, or all of these things that all of these, I mean, it's not just Mel Robbins, it's like so many of them do, then you've given away a fundamental aspect of reality. And now you're going to be sold up down the river on a million other things as well, because you've given the conceit that something that they said, which is not true, is true. And now you're in a cult.
Oh man, this is so interesting. So I'm hearing that the big one is around truth and lies. Like, has this person historically been someone that I can trust? Like, does their past show that? And then are they using their word now? For example, do they have conflict of interest? Is there someone like Huberman saying, blue light doesn't really matter. Oh, wait, these cool glasses that I now have an affiliate or sponsorship deal with, I tried them once, and actually, you know what? They're really great, and it really does matter. And suddenly there's this like mix of, oh, hang on a second, that's a complete turnaround. So there's those pieces in there. And then what comes up for me, because I've read a few books about community, I forget the names now, like they've all gone out of my head, but I've read like 2 or 3 books on specifically about how to build community. And one of them was about how to build community for your business. And again, it's like circling back to this extractive nature of the fucking capitalist system that there's like no getting away from. But they talk about a lot of the things you've just talked about is creating belonging. And I want belonging. I think I need belonging. We as humans need belonging. I know that's one of our primary needs, is to belong, to feel like we fit in somewhere. And that's one of the things we're starving for in modern society, is a real sense of that I belong. I am part of something. I am in community. I am connected. I am cared for. And so we're all looking for ways to feed ourselves. It's like a hungry person won't complain about whatever the form of food they get is. And so when I'm hearing you speak, I'm like, yes. And also offering belonging, like, is a beautiful thing, but it's like, how do we do it in an authentic way?
Why can't we have a belonging in truth? Why can't we sit in reality? And why can't we belong to a group of truth-telling, skeptical people? Why do we have to give away our skepticism of grift? Because, you know, it's interesting that you're struggling with the same things I'm struggling. We're all struggling with the same stuff, right? But it's interesting that you come in from a business perspective, because you've already given away truth. You're like, how do I start a business that creates a community that feeds my business? Well, the business isn't the first thing. You are not a businessman. You are a human. And start off with being a human. And what does a human need to be a good human? We need some, I don't know, like rules, like commandments. And I don't think the 10 ones that were a few thousand years out of date are necessarily the ones we need. But I do think integrity and truth are up there at the very top of this. And there's probably a couple others that are central to being integral human. If you start there, I'm not going to promise you're going to make more money. Okay. And people want that promise, right? This is an issue with with audiences, right? They want cheap, easy solutions to complex problems. They don't want nuance. I don't want to deal with all the muck of how our world got messed up. I just want to be like the two things that make me happy, and the three pills I need to take to be healthy. That's what they want. And you need to create a world. We all need to create a world where what people want, the sugar intake of information, is not what you need to retrain them to realize that sugar is bad for them. And you will not get rich doing this. Being an authentic person is not a way to get wealthy. It might be a way to make a middle-class income. Like this is my dream, right? I used to do this when I was like a freelance writer. I had a whole, previous career when I was like heavily into magazines, and there are all these courses written by writers being like, hey, you can become a rich writer too. Here's how to write your best-selling novel, right? And what I released was a video, or like a book called The Quick and Dirty Guide for Freelance Writing. It's way out of date. Don't buy it. But like the gist was, I have a dream that writers can be middle class, and that's what I'm going to sell you. And here's how you could become a middle class writer with a stable income by, doing the hard work to give you not extreme results. It did not sell well. It was not a big bestseller, but it was honest. And this is what we need to do. We need to give up on the dream of yachts, give up on the dream that we can all be billionaires, because it was always a fake dream. And if you're out there selling that dream, you're a liar too. Even if you become a billionaire, you're still just another extractive, bad human. And this is hard to listen to as somebody who is trying to make a living on the internet. Like, there is that inherent contradiction where I'm saying, no, you have to give up. We have to say enough. You can learn to make enough is actually much more liberating, I think, than being like, you can learn to be a pirate, a corporate pirate.
Yeah. I mean, enough would be great for me at this point. And I certainly, to be able to make enough without compromising, like at a core level, my authenticity and desire for connection and to actually be of service, to really help people and to make a good living doing it. That is my dream. And I love what you said about the way the piece you sold there, the book is just help writers to be middle class. Like, that's the dream. And I think that's a beautiful dream. And of course, unfortunately, that voice of sanity is being drowned out by a much louder cacophony. And I just actually canceled working with another one-to-one business coach, my third, because I'm a bit of a slow learner sometimes, because it was the same thing. It was like, you just need to pump out content, and you need to find people's pains, and you need to just like grind it in and just send messages every day and convert people. And it's just like, that just feels so brutal. Yeah. It actually hurt. Like, I just lose my sense of joy.
How old are you right now?
I'm 41 years old.
So you've made it 41 years, and you've kept your integrity, which is actually amazing. I mean, I'm assuming you've kept your integrity, right? But you're struggling to keep your integrity, and I've always looked at money in terms of time, and I think that a lot of people have been confused about things. But I've been poor. I grew up in a reasonably wealthy family, and then I graduated college. I was like, I'm going to be a freelance writer. I never took money from my family, and for probably 15 more years, I was properly poor, making like under $10,000 a year, like really rough. But that gave me a lot of lessons on how to be resilient. I was like, look, okay, if I'm only making this much, like, how do I think about the money I'm making in terms of the amount of life I have afforded in front of me, and that perspective let me, cut down my expenses a lot. Like I was like, but there's shit that I don't need, and I just don't take it. And I moved to India, so it was very, very cheap there, right? And I did things, but it was always about time. It was always about how to build up that time frame. And a lot of people just think the only way to build up time is to increase income, but the other way you do it is by decreasing expenditures to, like a person who is like happy being homeless, and there's probably not a lot of people who are totally happy, but if a person who was like truly fine being the wild man mendicant in the woods, and like they can grow their own food and like whatever, they have their truly off-grid lifestyle, that person is, and they're okay with it. That's a critical component. That person is just as wealthy as Elon Musk. They're just as wealthy because they bought the time. And Elon Musk is not, they try to buy this like longevity thing that they're going to live forever. It's going to be hilarious when he dies on Mars. Like it's going to be just fucking great. Or you know, Brian Johnson, he's going to try a stem cell implant and he's going to get cancer and he's going to die. Like we all will die one day. And what we want to do is be able to build up sort of a stable place. And look, I think early in my career, one of those tricks to being middle class was being like, okay, I'm really not making much. How do I make this not much money, still keeping integrity the whole time? How do I make that last longer and longer? And then I got better and better at it. And then I wrote some books, and some of the books did well, and you know, this YouTube channel. And like, I think that's a lesson that people don't want to learn, because we don't want to compromise. We don't want to sacrifice the style and accoutrements that we have now. We want to have sort of like a fantasy future that sort of paves over and makes it all work. Or we take out loans, which then you're just mortgaging your life to a bank, which is terrible. I will say that I'm reading two good books right now. One I just finished called on the theory or the premise of bullshit jobs by David Graeber. So good, which is about like why the whole economy is based on like these people who don't work in jobs. Like they have jobs where they sit in an office, they're there for 9 hours, but they do like 15 minutes of work. And how actually in America, that's like 40% of the economy. Why do we have an economy that doesn't produce value? And why do teachers not get paid so much? Why do the people who produce value not have it? And it's amazing because it just makes you look at economics in a different way. And you wrote another book called Debt that I'm going through now, which is about how the concept of debt, where it comes from, like tracing it back, like how can you be in debt at all? Like, what does that even mean? He traces it all back to the institutions of slavery. And why do we feel that we have to pay back our debts? Like, why do you feel like, oh, I take out a loan, or a country takes out a loan, and like for my house, I have a house, and it was, the mortgage was $350,000. No, that was the total cost. I was like, what was it? I took out a $300,000 loan. Okay. And it was a 30-year normal mortgage in America. I don't know how they work in South Africa. And over the course of the loan, if I were to have paid on the terms that it was going to be $700,000 I would have paid over the bank over that time period. Why do we have to pay back our debts again? Like, why is it that like you've already paid back what you have? Like that we have this principle about usury that's very ancient. Right, it's very ancient. Like this idea of like the too much interest is being paid. Like you're giving this stuff, and like that is usury is considered immoral over the course of history. Why have we created our whole society on the basis of usury now? And how can we not see that those bankers who control like so much, those bankers who are keeping you poor, Nathan, the reason why you are poor is not just because you're not grifting people enough, although that if you join the grifters, you can get out of it. But the reason you are poor is because we have a society that's like, we will make Nathan a slave. It will be great. And you don't even realize you're a slave. And this is we do not as a society want to think about that, because we associate repaying our debts with honor. We associate that as like, I'm an honorable person because I made proper restitution to my overlord and master. There's some real revolutionary shit that underlies this. And it's the reason why throughout history, when you have major revolutions, I'm really talking from like up to about the 1700s, the first thing that a ruler did, like a new monarch comes in, canceled all debts, just canceled them all and restarted from things. That's the whole, we're in a Jubilee year right now. Jubilee is the canceling of debts. It's not only the spiritual debts you owe to Jesus or whatever, right? But it's also the literal money, because the system got so fucked up that everyone was owned. They're like, oh, ollie oxen free. We're all going to start over again. This is the stuff that we need to really be talking about, because we have this veil over us that we're playing by the rules of this community. And we do not want, we want to think that we can all be billionaires or all be out of this problem. We don't realize that every one of our actions, even the ones that we feel are honorable, are actually keeping us in this situation. And I'm not saying go invest in my gold now or my Bitcoin or whatever. I don't know what the way out is, but I think the conversation needs to be started in an honest way about truth and about what really is going on.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of like one of my final questions for you is actually, and of course you're Scott Carney, the dude working it out as you go along as well. So I'm not expecting you to solve it all for us. But if the listener is going, okay, wow, we've covered a lot here, from grifters on a sort of personal level, like the Instagram influencers, to like our society is basically taking advantage of us at every level. So what would you suggest? What would you like to see the listener do after listening to this? What might be a step or an action or a thought that they could explore, a question they might ask that could help the world to be a bit of a better place?
Yeah, so I think that we all need to be like radically honest with ourselves and find out what things that do make us happy. And it's usually having time to do our own things, getting good sleep, like, taking care of ourselves, eating well. Like these things are like just normal good advice. Even the grifters generally agree with all of it, right?
Yeah.
But being really honest and critical of the liars out there, because, as you said, I'm not only critical of those wellness grifters. I have spent probably more than half of this podcast talking about the society that is grifting us. And we need to be able to open our eyes to what truth is. We need to be able to realize how the culture that we live in and the economics that we live in are not great. And I would say just start breathing in that air a little bit, or breathing in that truth air and to find out what really is right for you. Because I think that we always like the sugar. We always like that easy way out. And the easy way out is reinforcing the system, reinforcing the logic, which is in front of you, and just grinding into it. And I don't think that is ultimately what the way out will be. And I know politics is horrible. I live in America. We are the worst politics in the world right now. Maybe. No, probably not the world. It's really bad though, right? We have a horrible president and we have a horrible opposition party. They're not equivalent. Right? They're not equivalent. They're both sides are bad, but one side is substantially more bad. And there are sort of political realities, but there's also we have to try, I guess, right? We have to try to be better people and realize that you are not your wallet, you are not your income, you are your integrity, you are your truth, and stop taking also things for free. Like one of the reasons why our economy is so terrible, one reason why, Nathan, you are not making a lot of money is because the viewer believes that they should be getting your content for free, right? And by doing that, they are making themselves the product and not the actual customer. Your viewer, and I do this too, I don't subscribe to everything I read, right? But your viewer is like, look, I just want cheap, free information. And by getting your cheap, free information, you get lower and lower and lower quality information. And that is look at how bad AI is. Like you put in your AI result and that's free for you, right? They're screwing you over in a million other ways, but that's free for you to get that information. And we look at the declining, hallucinations and all of that stuff. We also see it gutting people like you because it will just read your best stuff and it will regurgitate that out to people without giving you credit. We live in a world where viewers believe that information should be free. That was the tagline in early 2000s. Information should be free, but should it? Because where does that information come from? What sacrifice is going to that? Now that the media, I don't know how the media is doing in South Africa, but the media in America has collapsed. Which means that the reporters who were going out there and found out what was going on at city council meetings and did that person get murdered by that cop and whatever else, those people no longer have jobs. And that whole institution of truth is gone, and now it's being supplanted by the free that free content that people get and they don't pay for it and they think they deserve it and they think that you, Nathan, are not valuable. That's bullshit. Listener, if you are not paying Nathan, who are you paying? Think about it. It's real. It really is a revolutionary thing because we do not ask as we all think that we deserve things. We deserve what other people's labor for free, and that's that's it's wrong. It's really wrong. And especially people who do good things. Why do we pay for shit? Why do we pay for supplements that don't do anything? But we will not pay for somebody who's like, hey, actually, here is why that is all bullshit. Why do we have that in ourselves where we don't care for about truth? Why do we not put our money where that is? It's because the system is rigged against us to begin with, and we've decided to exploit other people. And this is hard. This is really hard information. So what I would say in terms of like you and me, what I do is I have a Substack, right? I have this $8 a month thing, and I have realized that if I get 1,000 people who pay me $8 a month, I am better than middle class, right? So all I need to do is talk to that small group of people, right? That who actually value that work. And if, there's more than enough money in subscriptions out there for people who'd be like, hey, I'm gonna give it to like these 5 creators, right? I'm gonna set a budget of $40 a month to give to my 5 favorite creators. Is that right? Did I do the math right there?
Yeah,
right. Right. And but if people did that actually make a meaningful difference for people like you. But we don't generally think about that. And so it is about re-educating people to pay for things that matter, to pay for integrity. Because if the audience doesn't believe in integrity, then we're all lost anyway.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. I think what I'm taking away from that is really this piece around getting clear on some values, or like starting at a foundational. What are my values? What are my non-negotiable values? And how am I going to choose to embody them? Acknowledging everything is as it is right now. How do I choose to embody those values by my actions? Like, what am I paying for? What am I buying more of with my attention, with my resources, etc.? And actually, just you were talking about Substack. I'd love to know, just on a practical level, where can people find you? What is this thing you most want them to know about right now, so they can follow up and check out more?
The easiest way to find me is YouTube, right? Because that's where I put stuff out for free. And then I have a newsletter, right? Because that's the world. But I do get money. If 4,000 of you, if 1 million of you listen to me, I'll make $4,000. So that's cool. But then I put like early access stuff out on Substack. And I think this business model is actually not unreasonable, even for a person like yourself, right? Is that you have this free content you put out, and then you put out some special stuff for the people who support you. Those people should be realizing that they're actually supporting other people as well. Like, don't overdo your Substack and just make it amazing for the 30 people who start following you, right? But yeah, so I have the Substack, sgcarney.substack.com, and that's like my premium content. But there's also the YouTube where it gets you understands. That's where I put in the most effort. That's where you get the better, view content stuff. But it does come out first on Substack. So that's my current business model. It could change.
Awesome. And you did answer this question before, and I forgot to remind you I was going to ask it this time, but I don't even remember what you said in our first episode together. But when you hear "we are already free," what comes up for you?
We're not, man. We ain't free.
I was like, after this conversation, it's like,
we're all slaves to the system that we created. But you have the ability to be free, right? You have the ability, we are all tied up in creativity and economics. That is like sort of just a reality of the world. But you should, if you're a person who has the ability to listen to this podcast, is not currently in a detainee camp in Florida, right, in America, right? You do have the ability to make decisions for yourself, and make good ones. Make good ones that make your life meaningful, because that's really, at the end of the day, it's man's search for meaning. At the end of the day, it's trying to be sure that you have integrity and that you have done something good in your life. And I often tell people to, break things that they're relying on. Like, I love it when people quit jobs that are bullshit, right? I love it when people like give up money for freedom. I love it when people get divorced when they're in shitty relationships. Like, I think that breaking those things is important. And you should have the courage and the ability to do that.
Thanks. I appreciate you coming on, and I so love also the flexibility of just kind of going in directions I didn't foresee, and just really enjoying. And actually, it's helped me to make some connections between that sort of microcosm of the macrocosm. Like, the grifters are themselves a symptom of a greater unfolding, a greater blueprint that our society is currently playing out. And so to be able to make that connection. It doesn't excuse it, but it does give me some more empathy and understanding for what's going on at some level. So I really appreciate your clarity there and the passion and just being willing to come and bounce it around with me. So thanks so much, Scott. It's been a total pleasure, brother.
Yeah, and I love what you've been doing too. So, keep on doing the fight. Do not go to the evil side. There's ways. There's other ways, man. I promise.
Thank you. Oh, dude. Oh, thank you again to Scott Carney for a phenomenal episode. We went deep. It was intense. We got wild. We definitely disagree on some things, and that's fantastic. I respect him so much as an authentic, honest human doing his best to illuminate the truth. Sometimes at the expense of his own work in a way. If you think about it, he wrote a book about Wim Hof that did very well for him, and he's since come out speaking out about some of the stuff that's gone on with Wim Hof and his company. For me, this conversation was massively inspiring, and I do not say that lightly. It has inspired me to really double down on being a community-supported creator and guide. And what that means is that I have relaunched my Patreon page, and I'm running a special offer right now. And for as little as $5 a month, really the price of a cup of coffee. I love coffee. Oh my gosh. Anyway, talk about that another time. But you can really be a part of supporting me and supporting others, both through my music and my podcast and writing and poetry and those kind of offerings out to you in the world, and also offering scholarships to the people who approach me who cannot afford my work. One of my great teachers I worked with in London many years ago, he would work with people according to what they could afford, and others who could afford more would pay more. And that's what I'm basically asking you to do, is that you become the customer, you become the supporter, the person who, if you can afford to, pledges to pay it forward, to be a part of a gift economy where we support one another and there is reciprocity, so that I am not forced into the situation where I need to be constantly trying to sell you the next big offer and constantly get more and more and more. I'm learning that if we want to be the beautiful, regenerative, connected beings that I believe we came here to be, we need to move into a state of enoughness, and finding enoughness where we are incentivized, getting my daughter in the background, where we're incentivized to really show up in support for one another, to support one another's well-being, not just to try to extract more from one another. So it's a wild dream. I hope I'm not the only dreamer. I believe in it. I believe that it is worth doing. So please go to alreadyfree.me/Patreon if you believe that too. If you believe that my podcast, my work, my coaching, my music, poetry, that it all deserves to exist in this world, because by doing so, you are my customer. You are the person who is incentivizing me to do more of this and to do it at a higher quality with more authenticity, so that you can experience more of what you want in the world through this art, through these offerings, through this facilitation. Thank you so much for being here. That is what I got out of this episode. I think Scott Carney has spoken so clearly and so truthfully. Please do make sure to check him out on Substack and anywhere else you choose. He's on YouTube. He has a Patreon. I will share his links with you in the show notes, of course, as always. And yeah, I just really want to encourage you, if it's me or if it's someone else, if you are getting value out of your creators, if there are people out there offering you value and you're getting it for free, just realize that you're incentivizing those creators to make you into the product that they then sell to the highest bidder. That's the advertisers, the algorithm, etc. If you want a different world, be willing to put your money where their art is, put your money where their creations are. Take that effort, feel that discomfort, and do the right thing. Live according to your values, not according to what is easiest. Thank you so much. I know you understand. I know you feel this. I look forward to seeing you on my Patreon page. You can support at a $5 level, or you could support at a $100 level. And that $100 level gives me an hour a month to help another person on a full scholarship, like someone who is in need. And there are several I can immediately think of who've written to me who really need my support. And I simply can't afford to help them without making money from that right now. So please be that person. If you're out there and you've got those resources, help me to help more people. Let's do this thing. We have so many good episodes coming up, dear human. We've got Tara Couture of Slowdown Farmstead returning for her. She was the first ever guest. She's coming back again. We're going to do an exclusive live stream episode recording, so we're going to share more about that soon. But for now, thank you for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. I will see you in next week's episode. Please remember, as always, we are already free.